Hey guys, really quick, from the 26th of December until the 2nd of January, at Fantasy Sabers we're giving away a free The Sun affordable version with every sale using code Luke, so check that out. In this story, the Jedi Council will be more lenient of Anakin's activities. Let's start the story during the Clone War. The Jedi Council found out about Anakin and Padme's marriage, as he was spotted going to Senator Padme's apartment after he returned from one of his missions, and was seen being intimate with her on their balcony. But this was actually one of Palpatine's spies, who did this with the hope of turning Anakin against the Jedi and bringing him closer to his side. Anakin was called in front of the Jedi Council to explain the truth of the situation, and told the council the truth, that he and Senator Padme got married on Naboo right after the beginning of the Clone War. The council voted on whether he was allowed to remain in the Order, and ultimately after deep meditation and discussion, they voted in favor of this. This surprised Anakin. He was permitted this special privilege because he was the chosen one of the Jedi and was given an exemption to remain in the Order despite his marriage to Padme Amidala. However, this would be closely monitored by the council to ensure that Anakin's emotions regarding his attachment were kept in check. Palpatine was annoyed at this. He assumed the Jedi would expel Anakin, or at least force him to give up on his marriage to Padme, but he was mistaken. Anakin started to think better of the Jedi, and in this timeline, he's not always at odds with the council and their decisions, and is generally more happier because he can be open in his relationship with Padme. He no longer has to live in secret and fear of his relationship being exposed. The war carried on as usual. Anakin's power continued to grow, and every time he returns from a battle, he's met by his wife Padme publicly in the Jedi Hangar Bay, who greets him after his return. As their relationship became public, their popularity on the holonet grew. Anakin was the hero of the Jedi Order. Every boy around the galaxy knew his name. And Padme was the young, fierce, and beautiful senator from Naboo. And the drama of their relationship was discussed by everyone around the galaxy. They might be the most famous couple in the universe. They were followed by the press and fans alike, each wanting to see the couple together and get photos and interviews. This went on for the entire Clone War, but they didn't let it bother them, and loved their lives together. However, we reach the event of Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin arrives back on Coruscant after defeating Dooku and saving the Chancellor. However, Padme reveals to Anakin that she's pregnant, and the same night, he has his first nightmare of her dying in childbirth, the same nightmare that he had of his mother right before she died. Anakin woke in panic and fear, and knew there was only one thing he could do. The next day, he stood in front of the Jedi Council and told them how Padme is pregnant. However, he had nightmares, false premonitions of her death, similar premonitions that he had before of his mother's death. Together they discuss his false visions, Saisi Tin explaining how the fear of loss can be dangerous. That normal teaching for this would be for Anakin to train himself to let go of everything he fears to lose, but they knew this is not an option. Plo Koon speaks up, detailing how for Anakin to overcome this, he must train himself to keep his fear in check. That it's likely these visions stem from the fear regarding being a parent in the first place, that he fears for his child's safety, causing the visions to appear. But Yoda tells Anakin that visions of the future are not reliable. The future is ever changing and not set in stone. They decide to do a joint meditation, the strongest 13 Jedi in the galaxy, and they focus on Anakin's visions and expose the currents of the Force surrounding them, and feel that they are ever changing, a swirling whirlwind of ocean lakes. They conclude this future is a possibility, but also very likely may not happen. They feel these visions steep from the dark side, from fear, anger, and jealousy. And if Anakin was to give into his fear, he will be making these visions come true. Windu tells Anakin to let go of his fear, and only then will he prevent the future he sees in his visions. Anakin nods and thanks the Masters, and spends the rest of the day in the meditation chamber attempting to do just this. This annoyed Palpatine. He thought Anakin's nightmares would cause him to be riddled with fear that he could use to turn him to his side. But he was mistaken. Because of Anakin's close relationship and trust in the Council, Palpatine concludes that he can no longer turn Anakin to his side. He's under the protection of the Council and can't use Padme to corrupt his mind. He decides he must move to Plan B. He decides to keep the war going for longer than it had. Currently, it had lasted 3 long years of warfare, which had a significant toll on the galaxy. The people were starving, the richer were getting richer, and there were trillions of casualties around the galaxy. And Palpatine needed to blame this on the Jedi, and he was successful. Palpatine passes a new bill through the Senate, which gives the Chancellor's office, rather than the Senate, jurisdiction and authority over the Jedi Order. So instead of reporting and answering to the Senate, they answered to the Chancellor. Palpatine had many governors under his control that he'd put in power, as well as senators in his pocket, so any bill he passed through the Senate would be approved. He built himself up as the face of the Republic, the saving grace against the separatist invaders, but the Jedi were the sworn protectors of the Republic, who were failing in their job. Everyone thought they would have ended the war by now, but they were not as good as everyone thought. Palpatine kept the war going for another year, and he was successful. Public opinion towards the Jedi was the worst it had been in their 26,000 years of existence, and Palpatine decided it was time to end the war and turn everyone against the Jedi. Master Tin, Kola, Mundi, and Fisto visited Palpatine in his scheduled meeting with the members of the Jedi Council. However, as they entered, Palpatine stopped concealing his presence in the Force to open up completely to the dark side, so that himself and those around him could feel it flowing through him. The four masters instantly felt a wave of dark side energy coming from Palpatine and ignited their blades. He pressed the button on the recorder that was implanted into the desk as the Jedi announced that Palpatine was under arrest. But Palpatine feigned ignorance, asking why, and played the innocent Palpatine role perfectly. But he had everything he needed on his recording device and ignited his lightsaber and advanced towards the Jedi, taking out Tin and Kola in a flash and pressed on against Fisto and Mundi. Kit was the next to fall, and Palpatine slashed across his body, but Mundi put up a fair fight, lasting a mere 10 seconds, but his fate was the same as the other Jedi. Palpatine opened up his comlink as his command echoes across the galaxy. Execute Order 66. Anakin and Obi-Wan were at the temple when they felt it. The death of Jedi all around the galaxy, and the expansion of the dark side. Obi-Wan stayed in the temple, as Anakin rushed home to his family to find his wife and twin children, now less than 1 year old. He grabs them, and together they go in their speeder back to the Jedi Temple. Padme takes over the driver's seat, whilst Anakin goes back inside the temple to see Obi-Wan, Shaak Ti, and Sindralig. Anakin tells them that tens of thousands more clones are coming, so they must evacuate now. Shaak Ti activates the evacuation protocol, which signals all Jedi to rush to the hangar and escape. Obi-Wan and Shaak Ti go with Anakin to their speeder, and then to Organa's ship, and successfully escape the planet. They meet with Yoda from Kashyyyk, and together send a message through a secure Jedi line, using the Force for any survivors to group up at their location. They occupy a Jedi cruiser for over 24 hours as more survivors come in, about 25 from the temple and 15 more around the galaxy, far less than what they expected. There's about 45 of them, Council members Kenobi, Shaak Ti, Yoda, and Windu, and they consider going to Coruscant to arrest Palpatine, but there will be too many clones defending him now, and that won't be possible. They sleep and decide what to do tomorrow. But that night, Anakin has a vision through the Force. He sees the Jedi's victory, them storming Coruscant to arrest the Chancellor, but he's not alone. He's fighting alongside his blue friend, Thrawn of the Chiss, whom he met over a year ago. Anakin snaps out of his vision and brings us up the next day with the Council, that the Force has granted them the premonition of their next move, and he believes they should consult the Chiss. The Council saw no danger in doing this, since they planned to move farther away from the core worlds regardless. They travel the tortuous path into the unknown regions, as they use the Force to guide their path, rather than the Navi computer, which was scrambled by the unknown regions regardless. They arrive at the outskirts of Chiss space, and are escorted by the Royal Navy to the capital planet of Silla. Together the Council alongside Anakin and Bail Organa travel to the Royal Palace, where they meet with the 9 Royal Aristocrat leaders, as well as Captain Thrawn, as Anakin mentioned his name to the Chiss officer on arrival. Yoda speaks first, proposing an alliance between the Jedi and Chiss, that they can be beneficial to each other. Anakin speaks next, describing how Thrawn mentioned that the Chiss people are at threat of an invasion by their ancient enemy, the Grisk, who for hundreds of years have been growing their forces in the voids of the unknown regions, waiting for the right time to attack. The Jedi, and by extension the Republic, can help them with their inevitable war with the Grisk, if they help them take back the Republic from an evil Sith Lord. Saganu IV speaks up, describing to Anakin how the Chiss expansatory fleet is one of the finest the galaxy has ever seen, and might even be enough to defeat the Grisk, so why would they risk losing some of their force fighting in the Jedi's war? Anakin rebuts, saying that it's true, they might defeat the Grisk, but would no doubt suffer expensive casualties, which would take decades to recuperate. Decades in which they don't have. As if Darth Sidious, a Sith Lord who's taken over the Republic and formed it into his own empire, wants the entire galaxy for himself, and this includes the unknown regions and Chiss territory. He will no doubt attack Chiss space, and they will no longer have the ability to defend themselves. And once they are under Sidious's control, there will be no escape. Saganu thinks on this. The Chiss know of the Sith. They have worked with them in the past, only to be betrayed, and ever since then, they've been an enemy of the Ascendancy. The 9 aristocrat leaders and Thrawn discuss the proposition amongst themselves and come to the conclusion that they will aid the Jedi in return for support against the Grisk invasion. Treaties are signed, both by the aristocrat, Yoda, and Organa, a lead member of the Republic Security Council. They waste no time, and the Chiss gear up their expansory fleet and head for Coruscant immediately. They begin the siege of Coruscant, and the Chiss use their own Skywalkers, their specialized hyperspace navigators, which are Chiss Force sensitives, to appear outside of Coruscant space without detection and engage the defending clone commander cruisers. Thrawn leads the attack, commanding the heavy cruisers against the Venador-class Star Destroyers, whilst the smaller shuttles break the close defenses to enter the planet's atmosphere, carrying the Chiss ground troops as well as the Jedi. They group up around the Senate building and form a stable perimeter, not wanting Palpatine to escape. This all occurred within mere minutes. The Chiss warriors were good. They were well trained and effective against the clone army. They created a path forward, which allowed the Jedi entrance into the Senate chamber. 25 Jedi Knights and Masters entered and circled around, although they all felt an unsettling shiver as they saw Palpatine simply waiting in the center chamber, making no desire to escape, even though he was surrounded by all these Jedi. Anakin burst in last and called out to Palpatine, demanding he come in quietly, as there's no hope of his victory here. But Palpatine simply laughs, and behind him pulls out a brown rod, 1 meter in length and 4 centimeters in diameter. Windu, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Shakti, and Sindralig shiver in shock, and Anakin asks them what their object is. What could have caused that reaction out of the Jedi Masters? And Obi-Wan tells Anakin that Palpatine is holding the Dark Staff, an ancient Sith weapon capable of manipulating the Force in unthinkable ways, able to bend time and space itself to the user's very will. The staff was locked deep in the Jedi archives for thousands of years and might be the most dangerous Sith artifact of their collection, and it definitely has the power to defeat all of them here and now. Palpatine slams the staff down as the Jedi shuffle forward, pulled forward by the staff's gravitational forces, and Anakin and Obi-Wan can feel their Force energy being drained and directly transferred into Palpatine. They have to act fast, as every Jedi ignites their saber and rushes forward towards Palpatine. Palpatine ignites a blade with his free hand and prepares for the attack. He swings both weapons around ruthlessly as the Jedi attack from all angles, their power slowly diminishing. Palpatine catches one of the knights with the Dark Staff, and he's sucked into the depths of its gravitational pull, never to be seen again. Anakin stood determined as he swung at Palpatine, but he could feel his speed decreasing, and the staff was taking its effect. All around them, shadow beasts began to emerge, dark illusions created by the staff that began attacking those all around and dividing up the Jedi's focus. Using the moment, Palpatine, with his speed intact, cut down a couple Jedi Knights in a swift motion and commands the beasts through the Dark Staff. The Jedi are scattered and need to come up with a plan. Anakin puts the pieces in motion. He commanded a group of knights to begin conjuring up a Force light to counteract the shadow beasts and render them powerless. He asks Sindralig to begin a battle meditation to increase their power to counteract the Force drain from the Dark Staff, and he turns to the Masters, asking them if there's any way to counteract the Dark Staff directly. Yoda speaks up, telling Anakin that the Dark Staff's drain ability doesn't work on individuals who have freed their lives from compassion or love. Anakin looks towards the Dark Staff, determined, and knows what he must do. He must defeat Palpatine here, to create a better galaxy for his family. He surrenders to the Force and gives into his life, focusing on the compassion and love, and is willing to die for Palpatine's defeat. He feels his power returning as the Dark Staff's effects wear off. Anakin turns towards the Masters and asks them to support him and clear a path towards Palpatine. They do this, and in unison they attack. The Force light was suppressing the shadow beasts, which allowed the Jedi to extinguish them with their lightsabers. Sindralig's battle meditation was in motion, which bolstered Anakin's power, even more as he met Palpatine head on, his lightsaber barely missing his chest, whilst the dark staff attempted to consume Anakin with its gravitational pull. Palpatine overstepped, and Anakin cut his lightsaber in half, and they used the dark staff to defend against the oncoming swings. They were captured in a dark dance, the air thick around them due to the dark staff, which was slowly transforming Palpatine. His hand had turned black, the pure dark side energy leeching off the staff, seeping into his body. He pushed the limits of its power, and had gone too far. No human body could handle this, and Anakin cut off Palpatine's hand, holding the dark staff, as it crashed onto the ground. Palpatine acted fast, blasting lightning at Anakin, but Kenobi jumped in front to defend, as Anakin rushed around him to thrust his saber through Palpatine's chest. Nothing more the Sith Lord could do, and successfully killed him. Bail Organa was already on the planet, and had taken over the office of the Chancellor, and restored the Security Council to execute Order 65, to remove the Chancellor as leader of the Empire, but most importantly, regain control over the clone army. With this, the Chiss and clones stopped fighting each other, and they were successful in taking back control of the Senate. Over the following days, the Jedi assisted in the restoration of the Senate, with Palpatine's loyalists arrested, and they recaptured the Jedi Temple. The Chiss are thanked for their help in recovering the Republic from Palpatine, and are offered to join the Senate, but they refuse, and are simply happy with the deal they made, to assist the Chiss in their war with the Grysk. The Jedi and Senate office agree to this, and the Chiss return back to their home in the unknown regions. Over the following months, the Jedi Order rebuilds. Around 70 members left. The council includes Yoda, Obi-Wan, Windu, Shakti, and Sindralig, and the new master, Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One. He had fulfilled his duty, defeated the Sith, and was happy with his wife and children. Whilst he was a master on the council, he truly had everything he could ever wanted, and would lead the Republic and Jedi into an era of prosperity. If you enjoyed this video, you have to watch what if Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka started their own empire, and what if Anakin and Padme started the empire. Don't forget to check out Fantasy Sabers for the best Neopixel replicas on the market. Please like and subscribe. We're giving away a free saber at 100,000 subscribers, and I'll see you all next time.